Welcome everyone to Inside the Fight Live. Today is August 20th, 2020, and we got a lot to talk about. Let's start things off with UFC 252, which happened last weekend. Before we get to the main event, which feature Miocic versus Cormier, we go with Junior Dos Santos taking on Rosenstrike. And I kind of predicted this. I said Rosenstrike was going to take this victory. And, you feel bad because Junior Santos is a great fighter. Probably a legend in the sport. I heard he's a sweetheart. Nice guy. But, clearly, I don't think his jaw is there anymore. Rosenstrike knocks him out, and he gave a thumbs up. He was, in a good place after the fight. But he's just not there anymore. He is not top level. He's not top level. And being that he's not top level, I think it's time for him to maybe hang it up or fight somewhere else where the competition's just not in this level. But we'll see. Rosenstrike, up and comer. He guy has a lot of power. He has size. He did lose recently, but this is a good way to get back into that win column, taking Junior Dos Santos, who is a legend, a former champion, and but. Once again, I think he is the diminishing top 10 fighter. So, now knock on him. Like I said, he is definitely a future Hall of Famer for sure. But I think his time in the top has come to an end. Next up, Sean O'Malley taking on Marlon Vera, and I predicted Sean O'Malley to win this fight, but I did say this will be his hardest fight. And one thing to say is, there is, who knows? We don't even know. It has never been confirmed what exactly happened to Sean O'Malley. He started off strong. He started off looking nice, and then suffered a leg injury, and then ended up being basically TKO'd. One thing I did not like about Sean O'Malley is that he flat out gave no credit to Marlon Vera, who you gotta give him the credit. He saw an opportunity and basically TKO you up. So you're out of the fight, you lost. This is his first loss, and you hope that this is something he could learn from. Again, it looked like his foot rolled on it, and he just maybe sprained it. Don't know. I heard he was dancing this week, so his foot's probably fine now. But still, to not give credit to another fighter for beating you, I think it's a little low. I think you should just be straight up honest. You lost. It's a loss in your record. You can say all you want that he's not a good fighter or anything. He beat you. Fair and square. So make all the excuses you want. You still lost. You want a rematch? Well, that could happen down the line. But as the record book shows, you lost. Then in main event time, Stipe Miocic taking on DC for the third time for the UFC Heavyweight Championship. And boy, oh boy, I predicted this. I didn't want to predict this, but I did. I said Miocic was probably going to come in here and beat him. And I'll be honest, I when Miocic came out, I'm like, oh my god, he's so small. And I think this is the lightest he has ever fought in the UFC at 233. But DC started well. Then second round happened. He just did not have it. In the third round, Miocic again took it. I believe I gave the fourth round to DC. I had it to 2 entering the fifth. And the fifth round was the deciding round, in my opinion. However, 2 of the judges did say that, they had it 4-1 for Miocic. There was controversy, of course. And this eye poke right here, DC said no excuses. He says he still lost. The eye poke had no effect into it. But it was bad. He could not see. And something has to be done about the UFC gloves for sure. These gloves have been prone to allow fighters to keep their hands up, which is annoying. I get annoyed watching it, and I hate the refs to not do more to stop it, because it's so easy to stop if you just paralyze people for having their hands up. I mean, it's not a proper... I understand. It's natural to have this because you want to catch that punch. But when it happens that, your fingers are getting in people's faces and people do it on purpose, John Jones is one of them. He'll put his hands there. That way you could definitely run into his fingers because you don't want to get eye poked. Take away some points. Do it. If you do it more often, guess what? Fighters wouldn't use that, and that's the honest truth. Fighters would not do that if they get penalized. But fighters are not penalized. Instead, you're giving warnings. Hey, wash your fingers. 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 Like at one point or another, you're gonna have to realize these fighters are gonna keep doing it until they're not allowed to. Simple as that. But like I said, the decision went to Miocic. So now the talk is, what is next for Stipe? John Jones? Now, anyone who knows me knows that I am not a fan of John Jones, especially because he is a cheater. And if you don't believe me, just read it. He's been caught multiple times. As many defenses as he has, whether it be that he was taking pills for it, something that's down there, whether it be contaminated stuff, there's just way too much. The fact that this guy is such a hard case, can't stay out of trouble. It is a sad story. However, he has recently now stated that he is no longer the UFC light heavyweight champion, and he will indeed be challenging for the UFC heavyweight title after Francis Ngannou. So Dana White did say Francis Ngannou will be the first one up to take on Stipe. Now here's the problem I have with John Jones doing this, because I have said it time and time again. He says this stuff because he is done. If you look at his last few fights, he lost. You can easily say he lost those fights. How he got a decision victory, it is beyond me. And I know there'll be people out there that say, no, John Jones won. He definitely won that fight. No, that's not the same John Jones. That John Jones that fought recently, not the same John Jones that was in the UFC a few years ago. This John Jones is not as ripped, not as energetic, doesn't have the cardio. I have no idea what he is thinking if he really does believe he has a shot in the heavyweight division, because I do not give him any shot at all. Just think about it. He doesn't have the power at heavyweight that these heavyweight fighters have. While he does have the size, these heavyweights are bigger than him. So I don't see this being a good move. And the obvious thing is, it's all about the money. He's going to do it because it's going to be a big payday. But here's where I have another problem. If not, Francis Ngannou is next, Stipe say he's taking a little vacation, probably not going to fight until the end of the year. And Francis Ngannou is not an easy fight. That is going to be a brutal fight. The earliest is December, then you're looking at March maybe for this fight between Jones and the winner of that fight. That's a long time to be out of the fight game. John Jones, I don't know what to say. I think this is a terrible move. I think, like I said, he definitely was avoiding fights in the light heavyweight division. And as much as you want to say he cleared out that division, that is the biggest BS in the world. Well, we got fights this weekend, so let's get into that. This weekend, Bellator MMA will come to you live Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern on the Paramount Network. It is Brian Bader taking on Nirikov. Now, these guys, both of these guys are amazing fighters. If I recall, Ryan Bader right now, it is basically was on a 7-fight win streak until he suffered a no contest against Czech Congo. He eye poked him. So getting back to the whole eye poke, Brian Bader has looked impressive since leaving the UFC. I believe he left the UFC with 2 wins, and then he has 5 straight wins in the Bellator MMA. Captured the title. He is their light heavyweight champion, and this should be a good fight. Radim, he has a 6-fight win streak, 11-2 record. This is going to be a tough fight for Bader. Both of them have not fought in a while. Bader has a longer layoff, I believe. But, I'm going to give the slight edge to Bader on this one just because he has the experience. And, and his last fight was a no contest. You don't know if he would have, win or lose that fight. Who knows? Now we jump on to UFC action this Saturday. on ESPN, I believe ESPN Plus, maybe, I don't know. OSP returns to the octagon to take on Alonzo Menefil. If you don't remember, OSP fought in the heavyweight division a couple of months ago. Lost. He is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Alonzo, he is 4-1 in his last 5 fights, with his last fight being a decision loss to don't remember who he lost to, but 4-1 in the last 5. I think this is gonna be his fight in his favor. OSP to me is just someone with a lot of potential, just can't put it together. And I think the fact that he jumped to heavyweight was a huge undertaking on him. And I know it was a split decision, but let's be honest, he just didn't look good in the heavyweight division. But no, we'll see. This is back where he belongs, light heavyweight, and hopefully he shows me up. I love when fighters show me up, but like I said, I see Alonzo taking this fight just because I feel OSP is overrated. Main event, Pedro Ramirez taking on Frankie Yeager in the bantamweight division. Pedro is 3-2 in his last 5 fights, with his last fight being a loss to Aljamain Sterling. Frankie Yeager 2-3 in his last 5 fights with a 2-fight losing streak. He suffered a TKO loss in December of last year. Frankie Yeager is another fighter similar to Junior Dos Santos. I feel like his time has come. While great fighter, former champion, I feel like he's just not there anymore. The younger fighters are just way too advanced, and I feel like no matter what weight class you put Frankie Yeager, I feel like he's always a smaller fighter for some reason. It's so weird. But no, Frankie's a New York guy or Jersey. I think it's both. Who knows? I love Frankie Yeager. He's a fantastic fighter. I just don't think he is there anymore. I think he loses this fight. Well, guys, that's all for Inside the Fight Live. Next week we'll do it again. We'll recap the UFC events and the Bellator events. And of course, if you want to participate in the show, be sure to leave a comment. Be sure to leave a message. We'll read some of these comments. And until then, guys, enjoy the fight weekend. It is a big weekend of fights. Lots of fights indeed. Until then, guys.